So Kevin Watts, what are your top strategies?
Uh, well, the number one thing that I've been doing lately in coaching our loan officers to do is really the RVO, the rent versus own analysis. Right now, we're just finding that millennials are still renting and quite frankly, renting for much more than they could buy a home for and what their mortgage would end up being. So we're first going to our realtors and educating them on how an RVO works and showing them that, and then educating them on how to educate their millennial buyers who are looking at buying for the first time, and teaching them how buying a home is an asset leverage first, and then it's a tax break second, and then it's an inflation hedge where 100% of their rent is affected by inflation, right? In some markets, I know in our market, it can be as much as a 10% increase a year on rent because Nashville's a hot area. And but it could be, an average of 3 to 6%. Over time, that $1,500 rent in 5 years is $1,750. Where on a 30-year fixed mortgage, only about 15% of their payment is affected by inflation. So we're trying to educate them, and then we're using the Mortgage Coach RVO to show them and prove to them through the numbers, and just let the numbers talk. So we don't really have to do a lot of selling. We just show them the numbers. I had one this week that I talked to a friend of mine, and she was renting for about $1,700 a month. And we were talking, and I said, you really should look at buying. She's thinking about starting her own business. And I said, especially before you do that, you need to go ahead and get into something, because you're about to have a period of time that you may not be able to buy something for a little while, at least on the terms that we can give you right now. So we looked at an RVO for her last night, and she said, I had no idea I could do this because I didn't think I had enough money for the down payment. I showed her a bond program. She didn't have to use any down payment, and we could probably talk the seller into paying the closing costs so she can get in for very little. So it's just really educating them, and a lot of them still are out there thinking they have to have a big down payment.
So let's do two things. And Robert, I'm going to bring you in right after Kevin and have you, like, hey, Kevin, this is what I liked. And Kevin, this is something to think about. So
Yeah.
Kevin, let's do two things. I literally want you to give your opening script, because, most loan officers say, hey, I've got great rates. I've closed loans fast. I can get anybody qualified. I mean, you have a different way that you open that conversation. So I want to get your 30-second, no longer than a minute, kind of elevator pitch if you were meeting with a first-time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to, how do you pre-frame the rep versus own, so that when you start showing it to them or when you email it to them, they're like, oh. And then I want you to share your screen, and I want you to walk us through a rep versus own. So we're getting the Kevin Watson experience, and then Stover's he's either gonna beat you up or he's gonna give you some fine tuning.
Yeah, well, feel free to beat me up. I'll need a lot of it.
Okay, so what's the elevator pitch?
I'm here to learn, guys.
Constructive criticism is good. My entry to talking to a customer a lot of times is going to be different depending on where I meet them, how I know them. We really feel that our niche at Churchill Mortgage is the personal touch. So we really try to meet with every one of our clients in person if we can. And of course, we have out-of-state clients that we can't do that with. But that's really, honestly, my secret sauce is just meeting with them in person. So when I meet with them in person, a great example I had the other day, a guy that I work out with, one of my coaches, they're about to get married. He's renting for $1,500. And I said, your rent is $1,500. Why don't I work up a rent versus own and show you what you could afford? Just real simple. I'm a University of Alabama grad, so I'm a very simple guy. Okay, real simple, and I just come to him and say, why don't I just work up an analysis, and then when I work it up, I try to get them both in person if I can, and I just review the analysis with them, and I educate them on those 3 reasons why you buy a home. It's an asset leverage, a tax break, and an inflation hedge. And I just let the numbers talk and let them understand fully what the payments would be, what the breaks would be, and what their savings would be, and how to actually create wealth. We find that a lot of people look at their assets. They have asset managers, but there's not many debt managers, and this is the largest debt they have. And we feel it's really important to be able to manage their debt better and create wealth faster by doing that.
So you, I don't know if you realize it, but you said a lot of magic, powerful things that I know is different than the average loan officer. So, you know, for anybody listening to that, I would write down some of that. I'd fine tune some of your scripting. And while it might have been simple, might have been from the heart, you know, it's very attractive. And it's certainly a lot more important than I got great rates and I can close your loan in 14 days. So why don't you share your desktop right now?
Okay.
And let's just do like 3 more minutes of you know, kind of giving us the high level on this total cost analysis. And if you could start by just giving us a minute, like what was the story, the family story here, and then walk us through the strategy.
Okay, let me see.
We see it. And
You can see it?
We see
Okay.
it.
Okay, great. So again, this is the customer that was going to rent for $1,500. So when I go through this with a customer, I'll just start here at where they're renting, and I'll say, okay, you're renting for $1,500. I went ahead and put in your income and your tax bracket so we could get a full idea of what it would look like for you to buy a home versus continuing to rent. If we do this strategy, this is a bond program. So the great news is the great state of Tennessee has a certain amount of funds, and for your income level, we can actually get you qualified without having to put a down payment down. Now, if you work with a great realtor, which I can recommend to you, there's a lot of part-time realtors out there. I would recommend working with a full-time realtor that closes 5 to 7 homes every month versus one who closes 5 to 7 homes every year. And I can recommend one for you if you don't have one. But if you work with a great realtor, they can probably negotiate to even pay the closing costs for you so you can walk in with very little. It's very important that you have a reserve account, and we really like you to have about 6 months of cash set aside. So we don't want you to use that for your down payment and closing costs. We want you to have that for the Murphy moments when Murphy knocks on the door and has a water heater out, or you have a hole in your roof, or you have something that you're not aware of. So we want you to keep that cash. So we'd rather you do one of these programs if you can and keep the cash. So let's talk about a zero down program and seller paying closing costs. So when you're buying this home, or excuse me, when you're renting, you look at the tax benefits. Of course, there's zero tax benefit. I just highlighted that for you. Let me unhighlight the rest of this. There's zero benefit there, and there's zero principal paid except to the landlord. That you're paying down the principal for the landlord. So your net monthly benefit is $1,500. Okay, so let's use an example of doing the same thing but buying a home today where interest rates are still half price compared to history for $300,000. So here we are buying a home for $300,000. The down payment, like I said, is a bond program. So you're able to qualify to do that. You just have to take a little home buyer class, and that'll be good for you. It'll teach you a little bit. So when you go down to your payment, you're looking at about $2,025. Now I know you said you didn't want to go over $1,500, so that can be really shocking. But let's talk about this $2,025. That does include your taxes, your insurance, and your mortgage insurance on this loan, additionally to your principal and interest that's paid. But look at the next column down. Based on your income and your tax bracket, you're saving $272 a month of taxes monthly. Okay, so what I would suggest to do is once we close, I'm going to make a call with you after your closing, and we're going to go to the irs.gov website. We're going to go to the withholding calculator, and we're going to calculate how many withholdings you need to add to your W-4 so you can change the amount of taxes that are taken out monthly for you. And that 2025 goes down to 1753. So your real out will be 1753. Now the next column is principal paid. Of course, you can't get that out immediately. That's like a forced savings account for you. That's going to build up over time, and later down the road, when you're wanting to move up in home, there's going to be more equity in that home. And I'm also going to coach you on how you can put more in there to beat the interest rate you actually have by paying the principal down. We'll talk about that later. So that 362 is your money, but of course you don't get that immediately every month. But it is a benefit to you. So when you take the tax benefit and the principal paid benefit in, it's really like you're renting for about $13.91. And then I'll ask at that point, does that make sense? Do you understand that? You still have to make the 2025, and we have to qualify you with that. But do you understand the breaks? So at that point, we go through the breaks. We talk about that. And then I say, now let's look at your tax benefits over 5 years. We go to the tax benefits in 60 months and show that you saved $15,300 over that 5-year period compared to rent. And then we talk about net worth. And I say, you know, if you were renting, which we know you're not going to be renting for the next 30 years, but if you were to do that, that same home that you bought, average appreciation across the United States in the last 40 years has been 5%. There's no way to time the market exactly. So I can't tell you that next year the market won't go down or go up, but I can tell you in 40 years, you're looking at about a 5% appreciation. So don't try to time the market and say, I'm going to wait until the market goes down before I buy, because there's just really no way to do that. So what I would urge you to do is get in immediately. And if you did that with an average of 5% appreciation, you've now built up to $1.29 million in value on your home. You know, over 80% of the nation's wealth is held in their equity, and this is how they do it. So that's pretty much what I do when I talk to them. I'll go a little deeper and I'll go into the more info, and I'll show them the payment breakdown and walk through that with them step by step so they understand exactly how the payment was derived. I'll also go to the closing costs, walk through that, and show them in the fee detail where the bond program is paying for their down payment and the seller is paying for their closing costs. So I'll go through that, and I'll pretty much ask them, do they fully understand how they're buying the home, and they understand their payments and what they're bringing to the closing. 9 times out of 10, I get a wow, this is great. I now understand. I didn't understand, or I was scared, and this is really helpful. What's the next step? What do I need to do next? And 9 times out of 10, I say go to the Start Now button at the top and fill in the application, and then my team will take care of you from here. That's pretty much what I do.
Well, I'm going to say what your customers always say, and that is, wow. That was awesome. You know, I got a few takeaways from that. I know every mortgage pro watching this, even people that have done 1,000 TCAs, got some good language, got some value. I noticed the video in the bottom right-hand corner.
Right.
You know, are you, even if people come into your office, are you still adding a video? And, you know, what are you saying? You know, just paraphrase what's in the video.
Well, I use that video different ways. This is a video that I actually posted on Facebook just to have this out there, and then I pointed my realtors to it so they could use it and share it. So it's one of the marketing generic ones. But what I'll do after, I'll do the live TCA in person or on the phone live with them together. But afterwards, I'll send them a thank you on the video with the TCA, maybe with an updated analysis, maybe adding, if you paid an extra $100, this is what you could do to save money. And at the end of every closing, we send them a video. Dave Ramsey is introducing it because we're endorsed by him. So we use him to say, congratulations on buying your new home. And here's a way that you can actually pay that down and beat the interest. And we send them a video that shows them their closed home that they just closed in the loan and how to pay an extra 50, 100, or 150 on there and how it'll impact them over the life of the loan.
Yeah, that is such a huge strategy. Katie, we're going to have Stover go next, but I want you to, let you and I and Kevin speak about how you're kind of bringing value at the close. So Stover, I'm going to bring you in. Anything that you like about that? Any feedback you have that might make what Kevin's doing?
Yeah, no, I didn't like
better?
any of that. That was. No, that was magical. What university, Kevin, did you mention there? It was University of.
The University of Alabama.
So I scrolled out here. Shocking. University of Alabama grad shows millennials how to get their own home for the amount of rent they're paying now and earn $1 million in wealth.
Yes, exactly.
Boom. By the way, that's a headline, Kevin. Like that should be your Facebook post.
I like that.
Shocking. University of Alabama grad.
Shocking.
So
we can do other things other than football.
So Dave, one of my themes coming on here today that I'm looking at is all these realtors are sitting on their databases, and it perplexes me that lenders that are so good at working their own databases using all the mortgage coach tools don't just tell the realtor, look, I'm going to take over your database and manage this for you. Because imagine all of the referrals and refis and home purchases and stuff that come out of your own database.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at a realtor with an equivalent database. Why wouldn't you be able to pull that same amount of revenue out of their databases?
Yeah.
And so this strategy is just, this goes to what my question was earlier. You know, if you could only share, we'll cover it in a minute, but that just goes to power. If you can go to realtors and go, look, you're sitting on gold, and we have unique tools as lenders that you don't have as realtors, and you have tools as realtors we don't have as lenders. Let me help you pull these purchases out of your list. For example, goodness, in any given realtor's database, there's going to be folks that are older that are homeowners whose kids are millennials. They're on social media, ton of millennials within their sphere. And if you go out and go, you know, I want to show millennials how for the rent they're paying right now, they could actually own their own home and create over $1 million in revenue. And my friend Kevin is going to come along. We're going to do a video together and show you guys this, and do a live Zoom feed or a stream or something into their list, or you know what I mean. Reach out to their database and invite them to find out more. You know, if you're a millennial or you know millennial, this is going to be one of the most important videos or one of the important lessons you ever hear. It'll impact your homeownership. It'll impact your wealth and so on. So there's just gold in here.
So let's do this, Kevin. If you don't mind, either if you could share a link to this total cost analysis in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, and
Okay.
if you can't, I'll do it. And everybody who's on this, let's take from this, and I love Stover's idea. First of all, let's post it on Facebook with the Mortgage Coach link to one of your Rep versus Own. Kevin put a video on it, so I'm assuming this is you already did this, you know. And by the way, Kevin, the way you might want to do it, you might want to just go to your own website where you posted this and then share that into the group so we can kind of see how you did it. But let's play this forward, guys. I mean, every Mortgage Coach member, you have superpowers that average loan officers don't have. They are not able to net out an own, you know, buy versus rent the way you can. And then you have another advantage. We have the best loan officers in America that are part of this group. And you just heard, I mean, Kevin's not only one of the best loan officers in America, he's one of the best sales managers. How many loan officers do you mentor and lead within your branch?
We have about 30.
And so he's killing it as a producing leader, and then he's mentoring 30 loan officers. So you're in a community where someone like Kevin is showing you the goods. He's showing you how to do it. So you got the tool, you got the goods. Kevin, you will forward that? You're cool with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Hey, so feel free to stay on this call. I know you've got a Mortgage Coach live with someone in a few minutes.
Yeah, I got to jump off and go take care of them. But thank you for letting me be on here. Hey, I wanted to say one thing. You know, today is a special day, Good Friday. And, you know, all of us are very successful, but we're not here because we just got here by ourselves. And I just wanted to take a moment and thank you, Dave, because Mortgage Coach and what you created and produced, it's really helped me to get here and to be able to help our loan officers. So I appreciate you, man.
Bro, I got goosebumps from that, man. Coming from you, that means a lot. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
grateful for you, brother.
Yeah.